guys, so today I'm going to share my favorite breakfast recipe. It's been a favorite of mine for probably the last couple years, and you've probably seen me post about it, but I don't think I've ever actually made it for you on video. So it probably will take me less than 10 minutes to make. I love it because it is high fat, high protein. It's going to keep my blood sugar level stable throughout the day. It's going to give me some clean burning energy that'll last a long time. Versus there's so many of us will eat high glycemic, so high carb breakfast that will cause our blood sugar to spike. If our blood sugar spikes in the morning, it's going to drop fairly soon after. And when it drops, we get low energy, we get grouchy, we get moody, we get cravings, we crave coffee to get our energy back, we crave sugar or carbs, and then that just goes on a roller coaster all throughout the day. And that takes a toll on your insulin, which could eventually lead to diabetes, other issues. So we want to, in the morning, to start off the day with our blood sugar stable, because then it's more likely to continue in a more stable pace. If you find that at night you just want carbs, you just want sugar, then this is something to look at as your breakfast. That can actually factor into it. So maybe you're either not eating for a long time in the morning until you start to get a blood sugar drop, then that can start the blood sugar roller coaster. Or maybe you're having something like a yogurt in the morning, yogurt and berries and granola, or a muffin or toast or cereal. Even sometimes oatmeal can do that to you too. So look at your breakfast and try to get higher protein, higher fat in the morning. Tim Ferriss once said, I think I heard this a couple years ago, that you want 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking. That was from his 4-Hour Body book. And I'm not sure, I haven't calculated how much protein is in this, but you probably can't get a breakfast with more protein or more fat than this. So I also love it because, you know what, I haven't even told you what it is. So it's peanut butter protein bars is what I'm going to be making for you. I also love it because in the morning when I wake up, I want coffee right away. So first thing when I wake up, I've gotten into the habit, I make sure I have a big glass of water. I try to leave a little bit of space between the water and the coffee. But it's so important to have a big glass of water. Sometimes I'll put lemon in it, sometimes apple cider vinegar, sometimes just plain water. But I always make sure I do that. And then right after, I want a cup of coffee. I love my coffee, probably like so many of you. And I'm ready for something small to eat. I don't usually feel like a huge meal, but I'm hungry for something. And usually I want something quick, something that's ready, because often my kids are still sleeping, my husband's sleeping, so I don't want to be spending time in the kitchen. So I have these made ahead. Usually they'll last me a week or 2 weeks, this one batch, and I just grab it out of the freezer. So I don't even have to think in the morning. I just grab my coffee and my bar. It's shown that the less willpower, the less decisions you have to make earlier on in the day, the more willpower you'll have later on. So there's such a thing as willpower fatigue, decision-making fatigue. So that's another thing why I love, if you have a go-to breakfast, and you have that every day, you don't have to stand in front of the fridge or in front of the pantry and think, okay, what am I going to eat today? So I've talked quite a bit about that. I should get started. I'll show you what's going to go into these peanut butter bars. So first is, you know what? I didn't grab the protein powder. So first is a vegan, dairy-free protein powder. So a lot of the moms that have low energy, aren't feeling great, find that they have issues with dairy and gluten. So with dairy, you want to watch that you're not buying a whey protein powder. I also I don't know if these are sold too much anymore, but I don't love soy protein powders either. So look for a vegan protein powder like this. My favorite is actually Vega protein powder. Coconut flour. If I run out of coconut flour, I sub in shredded coconut, and it works well too. And then we've got peanut butter. So peanut butter, I love Good Naturals fresh peanut butter. Fresh peanut butter is so delicious. So I love it either to make it myself in the food processor or to get it from them. It's so much easier to buy it from them, and it's still low cost. So This is my favorite, and you want to make sure that your peanut butter just has peanuts. You don't want the extra added sugars or extra inflammatory oils that they often add to the ones like Kraft. So peanut butter, and then coconut oil. You can just add, there's coconut oil in the recipe. The original recipe had just peanut butter, but I did coconut oil instead. So if you don't want coconut oil in it, or you don't have coconut oil, then just sub in extra peanut butter. One other thing I want to mention too is that I try to switch up, since I eat this so often, I want to switch it up and not have peanut butter every day. So you can switch it up with almond butter. Sometimes I will make my own pumpkin seed butter or sunflower seed butter and in the food processor and switch that up, so I'm not always having the same thing. And then almond milk, which actually I'm out of almond milk right now, so I'm just going to do water. There's enough flavor and everything, so you really just need a liquid. So you could do cashew milk. I prefer to do a non-dairy milk, and I recommend that for most of you. So I'm going to try it out with water. I'm sure it's going to be fine today, so let's get started. Also, you can get this recipe in the description in my Mama Recharged Kitchen guide. So it's got my pantry staples and my favorite just basic ingredients that I use with those pantry staples. So this is one of them. So go ahead and get that, and let's get started. So simplest recipe, like I said before, it is 1 bowl, 1 measuring cup, and no baking. You just throw it in the freezer. So we will start, we'll actually start with peanut butter. Half a cup of natural peanut butter. So I've got a 1/4 cup measuring spoon. This is, I just used 1 measuring spoon, like I said. So you don't have to measure it perfectly. You can't really go wrong with this recipe. So that's about right. Should see how long this actually takes. So we got the peanut butter in there. Next is the coconut oil. It's a different spoon. So in the winter, the coconut oil gets pretty hard, so I usually pop it in the microwave for a second to soften up a bit. In the summer, it's perfect. It's just kind of nice and soft. So I am doing a 1/4 cup of coconut oil. And coconut oil, you might be scared, so much fat in here, but coconut oil is actually known to be like a fat burning fat. So when we hear fat, we often think, or we used to think, fat's gonna put on fat, but that's not the case. Sugar in general, carbs are the thing that actually puts on fat a lot more than fat does. So this will actually increase your metabolism, and there's so many benefits to coconut oil. I could do a whole post on that. So first, I'll just mix those together a little bit, the peanut butter and coconut oil. And then next, we are gonna put in the vanilla protein powder, and that is a 1/2 cup. Okay, not measuring very well, so that's a 1/4 there, plus a bit. And then let's see, that's about right. I've made this so many times that I generally can remember, and I don't even need the recipe anymore. Sometimes I don't even need measuring cups. So next is coconut flour, and like I said before, if you don't have coconut flour, you can do even just shredded coconut. You could probably get away without anything, or even with hemp seeds instead, but I like coconut flour in it. So a 1/4 cup of coconut flour, roughly a 1/4 cup. Oops, we already did peanut butter. So what are we missing? Just the almond milk. So I'm gonna do a little bit of water, and I'm sure it's not gonna make a difference. So it's only a 1/4 cup. So I make this recipe, like, I'm serious when I say I have this like every day, and I do try to, it is good to switch things up a little bit, but I haven't found a breakfast that energizes me, keeps my blood sugar stable, as well as this one, or that I love to eat as much. So I have this all the time. So when we go camping in the summer, I'll do up a batch of this, and it does, you do need to keep it either in the fridge or the freezer, ideally the freezer. So if you had a cooler, you got to keep it in there, because it does, with the coconut oil, it'll soften a lot. So it's not the best if you are taking to the beach for the day or something like that, unless you had a cooler pack with it. But yeah, I'll do up a batch. Often I do a double batch of this so that I have to make it every like 3 weeks. So such a simple breakfast. So it's super easy to mix up. And then from here, so this is the basic recipe. You can eat it like this. I used to add chocolate chips to it. It's delicious with chocolate chips. But then I wanted to really cut my, especially for breakfast, I don't want to have that added sugar. So I believe I haven't tried them yet, but I believe there's stevia chocolate chips. I think I saw them at Good and Natural. I can't remember what they're called. Just ask the girls there. So that would be a good choice if you do want chocolate chips in there. So I'll let you have a look what it looks like right now. So from here, we just press it down into a pan, put it in the freezer, you're done. So I am actually gonna add, I like a little bit of crunch, so I'm gonna add some pumpkin seeds to it. Actually, I also had another idea. I think I might try this in the next one. So this is actually a new children's supplement powder that it's kind of like a powdered multivitamin, but kind of to the next level, where it's just whole foods. Here, I'll just read it over a little bit. Carrot, so it's meant for kids and teens, so ideal for ages 4 to 16. So you put in 1 scoop. So I haven't tried this in my peanut butter protein bars yet. I'm thinking it would be awesome for mamas as well, even though it's geared towards kids. But it's got probiotics, so amazing for kids. So many kids nowadays have digestive issues, constipation. It is organic fruits, veggies, and sea vegetables. So it has got carrots, beet, broccoli, green cabbage, kale, parsley, spinach, watercress, squash seeds, Swiss chard, sweet potato, pumpkin seed, sunflower seed, tomato, mushroom blend, and then fruit. I won't list all those off. Chlorella, and then the probiotics, lactobacillus, something, rhamnosus. Anyways, so I'm excited to try this with my kids. I'm going to wait until I've tried it with Ashton, and I'm going to try it out a little bit with myself too. And I'm going to try it in this bar recipe at some point too. So I just wanted to share that I'm currently testing this out, and I'll do an honest review of it in a little bit and let you know what I think of it, let you know if Ashton likes it. It'd be great in smoothies and juices. We do more so smoothies, so watch for that coming up. I'm going to be sharing more of that if I like it. So pumpkin seeds. So I just sprinkle in some pumpkin seeds. You could do any seeds. You could do chocolate chips, like I said. Add that in. So we're getting a little bit longer in time, but I think that's more because I'm yapping a little bit too much. I had my cup of coffee. Okay, so we're good. I'm just gonna put that in a pan. Okay, so I've got I'm not even sure what size this is. You could do an 8x8. This is probably what, like looks like maybe like a 6x11, I don't know. So it fits nicely in about that size, nothing too huge unless you're doing a double batch. So can you see this okay? So I'm just gonna dump that in there. You can also use, I used to do, line it with plastic wrap, and it works really well. I'm just trying to get away from using so much plastic, or much plastic at all. So now I put it in parchment, and you want something underneath it, because then otherwise it's really hard to get out of the pan once it's frozen. Or the baking dish, I should call it. So then you're just gonna press it down in there. And I'm just gonna get another chunk of parchment. It's easier to press down this way. So either plastic wrap or parchment, and then you can press it down easily, or a spoon. Okay. Flatten it out. So yeah, I always make sure that I've got some bar that if I run out, I make sure I make it the night before. So then it's ready for the morning. So I can just wake up, I'm not making any noise. I just grab my water, then my coffee, my bar, and then I'm good for at least a few hours. So another great breakfast is just keeping it simple. If you can eat eggs, so many people now have egg intolerances as well. If you can eat eggs, that is probably the perfect breakfast, even better than this. But like a couple eggs, make sure you keep the yolk in there. High protein, high fat, so many nutrients. Just eggs on their own. If you want something quick, just hard boil them and then have them like that in the morning, or an omelet, or fried eggs with some sauteed greens like kale or spinach. So that's another amazing breakfast. So this is all set. I'm actually going to sprinkle on some hemp seeds as well. So these are all just like optional add-ons. Top it with whatever you want. If you want it for more of like an afternoon snack or after workout snack, then I recommend the chocolate chips are amazing in it. That crunch, that sweetness. It does have, it's nice, the sweetness comes from the protein powder, the stevia in it. That's another thing to watch for protein powders, is how it's sweetened. Stevia is probably my favorite sweetener, or if you had a plain protein powder, but that actually wouldn't really work so great in this recipe because you need something else to sweeten it with. So I'm just gonna press that down a little bit. And yeah, if I had just whipped this up and wasn't talking so much, it probably could have been done within like 5 minutes. So I make sure I have it made up the night before, pop it in the freezer. So I pop it in the freezer like this, and then usually I forget about it and then I'll cut it the next day. But if you pop it in the freezer, let it freeze for maybe like 10 minutes till it gets hard but not super hard, bring it out, chop it up, and then I put it into a container or into like a Ziploc freezer bag, and then it's ready to go. So let me know if you guys have tried these before, or if you are going to try them. Let me know what you think of them. And like I said before, grab the recipe in the Mom Recharged Kitchen Guide. And I hope you try it out, and I hope you love it. Bye guys.